Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 6 of the Natural State of Wrestling podcast. My name is Irvin,
This is Justin.
and we're back for week 6. Justin didn't join me for the Alexander Gold interview, but he is here for this one. If you haven't caught the Alexander Gold interview, it's available now on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and I think I'm going to be adding it to YouTube as well, so you should be seeing it on YouTube as well. Talking about Alexander Gold, before we get into the subject of this podcast, which we're going to be reviewing the Fightful Awards that just came out yesterday. I did want to mention that if you live in Arkansas, Diamond State Wrestling is having their debut show this Sunday at the Imperial Event Center at 4 p.m. The Imperial Event Center is right behind the Springdale Civic Center, which a lot of people know where that's at, on Old Missouri Road in Springdale. So I just wanted to let people know that this is happening. It's important for us to support this kind of event because, you know, a lot of the times we talk about how there's not like a pro wrestling culture in Arkansas or in the area, nothing that's consistent at least. So this is an opportunity, you know, for people to show up. There's talent coming in from Oklahoma, from Texas, and from Arkansas, and even some folks from Mexico are coming down. The owner slash promoter, Alexander Gold, who was on our podcast last week, this week, he is making an effort to bring in Latinx talent, to bring in, you know, diverse folks into Springdale, so that everyone feels represented in some way, you know. So there's folks coming, you know, from the Puerto Rican community, Mexican community, the Black community, white folks, you know, just about everything. So make sure you support this event. I'll be participating. Can't really talk about in what way yet, but it should be an exciting event, not only for me, but for everyone that's there. Once you watch a pro wrestling event in person, it's like a whole other world. You know, it doesn't matter sometimes even who the wrestlers are when you see things in person and you just see like the tough action happening in the ring, you know, the performance, the acting, everything is like a whole new world when you experience it live. So make sure you check it out. Once again, it's this Sunday, the Sunday of this episode when it airs, and it's going to be at the Imperial Event Center at 4 p.m. Diamond State Wrestling. You don't want to miss it. But yeah, I just needed to cut that quick promo there, Justin, just to make sure for the folks that are listening that don't know about that promotion, because a lot of folks still don't. You know, a lot of the times when we promote these kind of events, you don't reach everyone. And there's folks out there who, after it happens, they'll be like, why didn't I know about this? If I knew wrestling here. That one time, like a year and a half ago, when another promotion brought Super Crazy here to Springdale, there was a good turnout at the event, but afterwards, a lot of people were like, I didn't even know he was here. I wish I would have.
Wow.
So we can do all we can to promote, but sometimes it just won't reach everyone.
Yeah. Can we plug their social media too? So yeah, people can be aware. I think that you said that they're on Facebook and Instagram at Diamond State Wrestling, right?
Correct. Not to be confused with Diamond State Pro Wrestling, which I accidentally put that
Yeah.
last week when I was promoting them. It's Diamond State Wrestling. Follow them on Instagram, follow them on Facebook. And they're going to create a YouTube page. They're going all out. They hired a camera crew to film this event. They're going to want to shop it around also to networks, to local networks. And they even are going to have an announce table. They're going to have an English announce table, and then I think there's plans in the future to have a Spanish announce table too. So they're really going to go all out to try to make this a thing. So
That's fantastic.
make sure you support us. I guess I can include myself in that now since I'm kind of helping, and I'm going to be part of the show. But today, Justin, we're talking about the Fightful Awards, which I saw you commenting on it on Twitter. Was it last night? I think when I saw you about it.
Yeah, that was a really fun show. If you guys don't follow Fightful Select or Fightful Wrestling, give them a follow too. They're a great wrestling media org. And Sean Ross Sapp and Denise Salcedo and Will Washington, they all do a great job.
Yeah.
Last night they did their first annual Fightful Awards. And so we're going to kind of go through these and talk about our thoughts.
And I was telling you that before we started that I agreed with the majority of them. So I think
Yeah.
a lot of this will be like just comments on what we think about the winners, or and if we disagree with some, if we had personally, obviously it's going to be
Mhm.
our personal opinion, not the majorities, but I think it's still important to discuss, how we feel about the winners.
Definitely. It's also important to note that the Fightful Awards are fan voted by members of Fightful Select. So if you're a subscriber to Fightful, you had a say in this, and this was not decided by Sean or Denise or anybody over there. This is completely fan voted.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think one of the cool things about them, with their news and stuff, they're so such a trusted source that anytime something happens on social media, any news that breaks out, I always look to Fightful to confirm or to give, like the best news source. So I think a lot of the pro wrestling fans today are very thankful for them, and it reflects on their numbers. I think they have the highest Patreon wrestling site in the world. I think they have the most people subscribed to them, which is great because they do a lot of good work.
Yeah, 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 good call out on their accuracy too, because when all this stuff was dropping about whether Saudi Arabia had bought in WWE or not, Sean and their team were very, very careful to make sure everybody knew that it was just reports, that there was nothing being confirmed by anything, and it turned out not to be the case. They have very accurate reporting.
And that was crazy, right? Because I did feel like a lot of folks, that weren't specifically reporting that it was happening, they were very
Mhm.
quick to tweet about it and just make
Yeah,
statements to kind of make other folks think to themselves, oh, they probably know something that we don't know, which
right.
I mean, I get it. It's part of their job to kind of do that in a way, but we do look to folks like Sean Ross Sapp, who waited before confirming anything and didn't really make any kind of like subtle tweets that can or cryptic tweets that can kind of confuse people, make them think otherwise.
Right. All right, let's get into these. We'll start with the Independent Wrestler Awards, which I really like that they did that because some of the other organizations they only put the more mainstream wrestlers and talent out there. So I really like that they started with the Indie Awards. The first Indie Award was the U20 Award, which is a talent under the age of 20 years old. And
Mhm.
that went to Nick Wayne, who is 17 years old.
Yeah.
I haven't personally seen any of his matches, but everything I hear is really good about him, and that he is headed for a contract the second he turns 18.
Yeah, he actually has. I'm not sure if you know this or not, Justin, but he has a promised contract with AEW already. AEW signed him, and he's still in high school. So they pretty much said once he graduates high school, he will eventually become an AEW wrestler.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
he's also the son of Buddy Wayne, who was a well-known wrestler back in the day, who trained Darby Allin. So
Good
Darby
pedigree.
Wayne have known each other for a long time. And I think it was Darby who showed up to an indie promotion about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, to present an official AEW contract to Wayne. So I can't think of anybody else, honestly. I think Roxy's 20 or 21. So I don't think she falls in that category anymore. Also would have been like Roxy, right?
Yeah,
Makes sense. Nick Wayne.
yeah. Next was Independent Tag Team of the Year, and that went to Bussy, who are very prominent in the LGBTQ plus community, and they make that really prominent in their gimmick, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and that one I can't think of anybody else, that has done it to the highest level. I believe they sometimes wrestle for GCW, I believe. Uh,
Mhm.
and I've heard a lot about Effie and some about Ali as well. But yeah, I can't think of anybody else who I think would be better than them for this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In their name. Yeah, I probably should have mentioned their names too. Effie Cat and Allie Catch. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. The next two, I'm gonna announce them together because Fightful announced them together, and I think that's kind of appropriate. Are the Independent Male Wrestler of the Year and the Independent Female Wrestler of the Year, and that's Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green, who are a couple. And if you're a WWE fan, you probably remember Matt Cardona as Zack Ryder. But what he has been doing on the independent scene since leaving WWE has been just outstanding. He did a really cool shtick, naming himself ECW champion. Even got a hold of the belt for a while, and it was really cool. A lot of crowds that he was appearing in front of were shouting EC Dub when he was performing. So
The
he
death match.
do what?
He was also he a self-proclaimed king of the death match because he beat what's his name? I forgot his name. What's the guy's name in GCW? Hardcore wrestler who he beat in that death match. I see I see you Googling, so hopefully you're able to find
Yeah.
Nick Cage. Nick Cage.
Nick Cage. Yeah. How could you forget the name Nick
About
Cage?
that. Oh, I forgot the pizza.
Oh man, I
Did you
forgot
ever
it
see that
too.
match
That's
in
so
ECW?
funny.
Did you ever see that? Did you ever see the match from ECW? I mean, from AEW, Nick Cage versus Chris Jericho.
No, I did not.
They had a death match at AEW. It was like during the time where I forgot if it was I think it was MJF who was making Jericho fight all these different like foes of
Oh
wrestling.
yeah,
He brought
the
Nick Cage.
Trials of Jericho. Yeah.
And there was this funny moment where Nick Cage was using a pizza cutter to like cut Chris Jericho in the forehead. And while he was doing that, they went to picture in picture, and it was like I think it was like a Pizza Hut or a Domino's ad that popped up. Like it was like cool to see how it went from cutting him with the pizza cutter to an ad from like National Pizza. And I think it got some people in trouble, I think, based on
Oh
what
my
what I
gosh,
read. Um,
that's hilarious.
but it makes sense, and I think I didn't get to catch the entire Fightful Awards. I caught part of it, and one of the things that they mentioned was that they do feel that name recognition had a lot to do with a lot of these folks winning these awards, which I don't know if that means if they think that like maybe these two people weren't the best
Hmm.
in the independent circuit because there's a lot of great talent out there, men and women and in between, and but I can definitely see name recognition wise why they would be voted as the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And Chelsea had a good stint in Impact. Was a former Knockouts champion too. So I'm sure that they've both built pretty large fan bases. And since these are fan voted, maybe that does have something to do with it. So if your favorite independent wrestler was didn't win one of these, then these weren't necessarily decided, based on any criteria. So other than fan votes. So, but I think these two are very well deserved.
Yeah, and buzz wise, I don't think there's anybody bigger than them at the moment in the independent circle. I know there's rumors that Chelsea's on her way to WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's people hoping that Matt Cardona shows up at the Royal Rumble next week.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, like you said, definitely deserve it, I believe.
Yeah. Wrestling news story of the year. There was a lot to choose from, but I think we all kind of know where this one is going, and that is Vince McMahon's retirement. We did a whole episode on Vince McMahon's return a couple of weeks ago, and this story has just dominated the entire year. I mean, one thing that was said on the on their show, and one thing that I immediately thought of is Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestled in the main event of WrestleMania this year after 20 years of retirement. That
Yeah.
didn't make the top five of everything that went on this last year. I mean, you had the CM Punk stuff. I mean, 2022 was a crazy year for wrestling, but I don't think anything dominated the headlines more, and we're still seeing it right now with the settlement that was announced yesterday with one of Vince McMahon's accusers. That he continues to dominate the headlines.
Yeah. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, they won the award. It still feels kind of icky though, just to even think that that was like the biggest news story because of the contents of what happened, of the allegations and stuff. But yeah, I don't think there's any bigger story than that this past year.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good shout too, because I think we should make it clear that that doesn't mean that this was the best story of the year, that this was the most positive thing that happened in the
Yeah,
last year, because it definitely wasn't. Like Vince McMahon returning is, I mean, like we've talked about, is I think objectively bad for wrestling, and I think it's objectively bad for WWE. But there's no denying that it was the biggest story of the year.
definitely.
Next is promotion of the year, event of the year, and booker of the year. These were all announced together for reasons you will understand when we tell you. Booker of the year was Tony Khan. Promotion of the year was AEW, and event of the year was Forbidden Door. They announced those together, and Tony Khan even did a little video for them and kind of an acceptance speech kind of thing that I thought was pretty cool.
Feel about
That do what?
How did you feel about the winners?
Oh yeah, I think these were clear choices. Now I think maybe Booker of the Year had Triple H been in charge of creative for the full year. Um, I don't know. There could be an argument that had he been in charge for the full year, that that's a closer race, or that maybe he would have booked something that overtook Tony Khan. But um, I and I think with event of the year, it was just such a snake bitten event. Like with all the injuries preceding it, that it was able to perform like it was, and it was able to have the match calibers that it did despite all of that, despite Adam Cole not being there, despite Bryan Danielson not being there, and it still was the show of the year. Yeah, I agree with these.
Yeah, I think promoter of the year, no doubt. I mean, Tony has been doing a lot of innovative things and things you really don't see in wrestling nowadays, doing the whole Forbidden Door, which is something that, it's now a phrase because in AEW they just do it all the time now and just bring people from all over, which is great. And yeah, I don't think Vince is going to be promoter of the year anytime soon. I'm not sure if Triple H is, depending on opportunities that he has, or how things become better in Raw and SmackDown. Because honestly, I mean, I've seen some positive changes, but it's not the changes that I thought we were going to see moving out of the Vince McMahon era. So I definitely give, promotion of the year and booker of the year to Tony and AEW, just because of the innovation and because of the content, what he puts on the show, like what wrestling fans want to see. I personally would love to see more women's matches in on Dynamite and Rampage, considering there's 2 hours available, for Dynamite. So, but that aside, I mean, I think it's obvious that they deserve those awards. The event of the year, I was trying to think to myself, like, was there a better event than the Forbidden Door? I think that event was innovative, and it was just cool to get all these wrestlers from other promotions across the ocean, and it was just cool to see. If I could think of WWE having a good event this year, maybe Extreme Rules was up there. I think that was that the event. I forgot. Extreme Rules, was that when Brock Lesnar was on that tractor
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
jumped the ring on Roman Reigns.
he threw the mic at Roman, and Roman just caught it like out of nowhere, and then like I thought that event was pretty good, but I could definitely see why Forbidden Door would be picked, because of the wrestling, because of the innovation, and because of the buzz. Even though, like you
Mhm.
said, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Adam Cole, none of them were available for that event.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I would say, yeah, the ADW does kind of struggle in booking their women's division. They're getting better at it, and I hope that continues to improve. I think we saw that with uh, the main event with Jamie Hayter and Hikaru Shida a few weeks ago. I'd love to see more of that. I'd love to see more women main eventing Dynamite and two matches, more than two women's matches on Dynamite. I Tony seems to have an ear for the fans and kind of listen. I think we saw that with the improvements he made to Rampage this last year. So hopefully he listens to that about the women's division. But
Definitely.
um, next one is trios slash stable of the year, manager of the year, and storyline of the year. These were all lumped together again for reasons that will be evident once you hear the winners. Trios or stable of the year was the Bloodline. Manager of the year was Paul Heyman. And storyline of the year was the Bloodline plus Sami Zayn. There were a lot of things that could have gone here. I think some people would have argued for the Elite, but I mean, they really only came in at sort of the end of the year because of the brawl out at All Out. For me, manager of the year, I mean, Paul Heyman was a clear front runner. I don't know that any manager has had as much of an impact in storyline or in big of a storyline as Paul Heyman this year. And the storyline of the year with this Sami Zayn thing being part of the bloodline, and is he going to turn on them? Are they going to turn on him? That's the best story WWE has right now, and it's not close. I think that storyline of the year, there were maybe some other things that could have gone there, like the feud with CM Punk and MJF. But
That was this past year, right? That was 2022, right? MJ.
yeah, yeah, that was at the early part of the year. Um, but yeah, what are your thoughts on these?
Honestly, the storyline, I would have given it to MJF versus CM Punk. I just feel like I'm a big fan of Sammy and the Bloodline and what they're doing there. It's hilarious. A lot of the stuff that they do sometimes. I just as a CM Punk fan, and just how they were able to kind of bring his past, in the actual wrestling match that they had when they when he came out to his old theme wearing his old gear, and just the weeks leading up to that, the storytelling, talking about how MJF was CM Punk's biggest fan and all these different things. I just kind of feel like that was special. Personally, I feel like if Cody Rhodes hadn't gotten injured, he would have had the best storyline of the year, because it was already heading that way. Just with
Yeah,
there's already such a big story there with Cody Rhodes, because his dad never won officially the big one. He never won the WWE title, and his story was like, I'm leaving AEW specifically because I want to win the big title. Either I think he wanted to win it in Madison Square Garden, where his dad wasn't able to win it. But now it could have been anywhere. It could have led to WrestleMania. But I think that there could have been so much special like storyline being told there with Cody. But unfortunately, he got injured. So my pick would have been MJF and CM Punk. But hey, I'm not hating on the Bloodline Sami Zayn story, because it's hilarious, it's good, and we're all wanting. I think, like, even though I was wanting Cody to beat Roman, or The Rock to come in and go against Roman, I want Roman to win, but I kind of want Sami Zayn to headline WrestleMania against Roman somehow, and
yeah,
become champion somehow. I would love that. I'm not sure if that. I'm not sure if he's going to win the Rumble. Supposedly Cody's coming in at number 3. The Rock might come out next week for the Raw's 30th anniversary, or he might come in WrestleMania also and be one of the 30 entrants and win it. But there's a part of me there that still wants Sammy, and I think a lot of people want Sammy to win. In regards to manager of the year, there's no competition. I feel like Paul Heyman deserves that award every year. I mean, who is at his level? I don't think there's anybody at his level. Um, and yeah, I'm trying to think even through AEW. I mean, there's some good managers there, but no, I don't think anybody is on Paul Heyman's level, honestly. So it makes sense for him to win that one. And stable of the year, I think probably second place would probably have been Death Triangle, just because of the reign with the titles and the amazing matches that they have nonstop. Literally every one of their matches is insane and amazing, and it gives you something special, even with the 7 matches that they had with the Young Bucks. Each one was different, each one brought something, and it was like the end part of their reign, and they had other matches throughout the years that were amazing as well. But I definitely understand why the Bloodline would win that one, just because of the buzz, because of of what it means to be the top stable and the biggest company in the world. And the Usos and Solo and Roman have been amazing. They've done such a great job with what they've been given, and I think very highly of them. So I definitely see that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of what you said there. The next award is they talked about combining this one next year because it's spread out to 3 different things, and they're called the Wrestling Talent Media Awards. Um, Vlog of the Year went to Being the Elite. Talent Podcast of the Year went to The Sessions with Renee Paquette. And Talent Physical Media went to John Moxley's book.
Mm.
Uh, so they talked about combining those into one media talent award next year, which I think might be a good idea, because I can't think of another blog, and I'm sure there is, but I can't think of another one other than Being the Elite. Now, there's lots of talent podcasts out there. Edge and Christian had one for a while, maybe still do. I know Road Dogg's got one. Yeah, obviously Renee Paquette's. And then physical media, I can't think of another wrestling book that I read in the last year except for John Moxley's. Now, it wasn't deserving, and it doesn't mean it's not great, because it is. And if you have not read it, uh, please go do, because it is amazing. It's raw, it's real, and it gives a really good insight into some of the demons he was fighting before he came back from rehab. And it's just a fantastic book.
Yeah.
Uh, but so, yeah, I think these are some pretty good choices.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the book, that's the only wrestling book I read also last year. And it's not a huge book, so you can read it pretty fast. And it's
Mm-hmm.
got uh a lot of good stories, but it does show you the journey of like his struggle with addiction, like what he went through, how he got there, where it started, all these different things. And it was very inspiring for me, coming from a family that has a lot of addiction. I was able to kind of see that and see how he was able to go into rehab afterwards, and see the positive change, in his life and in his family's life, which was very, I think, motivating for me. So I can't think of anybody else. I think the Young Bucks might have dropped the book, maybe 2021. I think it was 2021 when they dropped their book. But yeah, I feel no competition on that one. On the wrestling podcast, Renee, I think probably I think probably number wise, it might be the biggest, I believe, in regards to views and in some ways listens too. I personally, if I had to pick one, I probably would have gone with Chris Van Vliet, because he does amazing interviews, brings in like the biggest stars, and really has in-depth conversations, not only just about like what's going on in their lives in wrestling, but outside of wrestling, and does it in a very elegant way. I like watching his interviews, But not taking nothing from Renee. Renee's a great interviewer as well. She brings on amazing guests herself too, and I listen to her as well. So I do think that next year Dax's podcast is going to take over, because I think it's been going high up the charts already, and it's only been out for like three or 4 weeks, I believe. I think 3 weeks. I
Yeah.
think that's going to be number one in 2023, especially the way things are going, and especially because he's supposed to be taking a break until April from wrestling, and he's probably gonna have a lot of time to do more podcasts. So I think Dax might take that one. And what was the vlog? The vlog was the third one, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't watch Being the Elite. It just isn't for me, really. I'm big fans of the Young Bucks. I think I told you this, Justin. I interviewed them back in 2010, before they went to TNA Impact. So I interviewed them like right before, probably a few months before they went to Impact. And they're great people. They're people that really care about the business and want to give opportunities to a lot of people, the same opportunities that they have gotten. So just seeing them grow, when I go to Hot Topic and I see like their stuff there, it's crazy and it's mind blowing to me, considering that when I talked to them, they weren't that well known yet. But I do see why that one is the most popular one. I think number wise, it is the most popular one, and buzz wise, it is the most popular because whenever something happens and I'm Being the Elite, it makes its way to my timeline. I think this past week they teased like CM Punk in there, and I saw screenshots of it on Twitter. Um, Other blogs that I enjoy Sammy Guevara's blog. I enjoy that one. Ethan Page does the when he goes to like different toy stores and tries to find like toys that like he collects or some of the other wrestlers collect. That's kind of fun too sometimes to watch. Thunder Rosa's got a blog too, which is entertaining, but I definitely see why the Elite wins that one because they create the most buzz on their vlog.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. Uh, all right. Women's best promo of the year. This was far and away my favorite as well, but it goes to Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And for my money, I don't know that there is anybody better in the women's division of any company on the mic than Britt Baker. She is just phenomenal at generating heat and and cutting her opponents down without ever even stepping into the ring. Like she has got a very special talent on the mic.
Yeah, can't disagree there. She is the best on the mic currently. There's something believable about her character, which I can't explain because I don't think she's that mean in person. I don't think she's mean at all. She's just really good at performing as a heel, and very believable and very easy to hate. For me, whenever I'm watching as a fan, it would get on my nerves when she would come out to wrestle, being accompanied by two other women, against
Mhm.
one woman. I'm like, come on, like just let her like show up by herself, because this is getting too much. So I would get really annoyed by that. But
Mhm.
I guess it's part of her job to annoy me and annoy other people.
Yeah.
And what promo was that? I think I know which one you're talking about, but if you did it note it which one it was?
No, I don't think they called out the specific promo for that one.
I think
Yeah,
it might have
it
been
was. Uh, yeah, I think it was just like overall women's promo.
just in general, like best
Yeah,
at promo.
just in general. Yeah, best at promos.
Because she did have like two that were really good, one in the ring and one like backstage that I remember, kind of. But it makes sense for her. She's the best. I think so. I can't really nothing comes. I mean, Becky Lynch is kind of good,
Mhm.
but and so is Mandy as well, before she was
Yeah,
released by WWE. But um, yeah, Britt Baker's on a whole other level at the moment.
yeah, yeah. I agree with the shout to Becky Lynch too. That whole story with her going on the losing streak for a while there before she did her face turn again and became the man again back when she was big time Bex before all that. I think she's very good on the mic, but
Yep.
all right. Next one is I don't think going to be a surprise to anyone. There's okay, so these two were lumped together, and these are men's best promo of the year. So overall, who is the man who gave the best promo of the year, but also the best individual promo of the year, man or woman. So this one calls out that award calls out a specific promo. And these went to MJF for men's best promo of the year, and best individual promo of the year was the promo MJF on Tony Khan during this whole hiatus thing, whether or not he bought that plane ticket or not, and started the whole setup for the bidding war of 2024.
I watched that probably 10, 12 times
Yeah.
at that time. And once in a while, I'll watch it on YouTube, watch the whole thing. It's just, I don't know. I'm not sure if you see this, Justin, but a lot of the times when like MJF gets into it, into one of these promos, he really does channel Ric Flair, from like the head shaking to like stomping his feet, like all these different things. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure if people notice that, but it's like, wow, like he's doing it, but he's not a carbon copy of Ric Flair. He just kind of uses like several elements of, his promo delivery. But yeah, that promo, there's nothing that tops it. I think the only one that came close was the one where he went back and forth with CM Punk.
Yeah.
It was also very good, but MJF, Roman Reigns is up there in like good promos. I feel like he delivers a more believable now. Like he's the top of the mountain. What's it called? The head of the table.
And at the same
But
mm-hmm.
MJF is still on another level, I believe, and he's only what 25 years old, 26 years old.
Yeah.
He's only
Yeah.
gonna get better.
He's got a lot of time left, and he's already, yeah. I think top of the mountain as promos go. I think he's the best in the industry on the mic, and I think this last year showed it. Because I mean, like you said, cutting it down to one of his promos, I think, was even probably difficult because you had that one where he cut on CM Punk with where he gave him the fake hug and then attacked him. There's just a lot to choose from with MJF, and it kind of feels like almost his best promo is his next promo.
Yeah, but like definitely think that the promo, I think it was in Los Angeles against Tony Khan, is also on a whole other level on its own.
Yes.
Uh, it's going to be a while before we see something like that, and if we do see something like that, it's going to come probably from MJF.
Yeah. um, the next one is feud of the year. And another, I don't think very shocking winner here was the MJF CM Punk feud. We talked about this one back with storyline of the year, but I think this is feud of the year, bar none. That the long-term storytelling this thing took from MJF's childhood till now, the stuff with William Regal, like every facet of this thing. Uh, and I know the stuff with William Regal probably doesn't necessarily, come as part of this, but I think this, I think it's still part of it. And in some ways I won't go into here because y'all don't want to hear all that. But due to the year for sure.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. Probably the only one that could have came close if it would have actually happened the way it was probably planned would have been Cody Rhodes with Seth Rollins. I feel like that could have been something special if it would have gone longer, but unfortunately Cody's injury stopped that, so there's no other competition. MJF versus CM Punk, definitely best slash rivalry of the year.
All right. The next ones were added together again, Moment of the Year and Return of the Year, because they both went to Cody Rhodes. Moment of the Year being his jump from AEW to WWE, and when he came out and made that promo. So what do you guys want to talk about?
Mm.
And Return of the Year, obviously his return to WWE.
Yeah, Cody had some promos that were questionable, but in
Yeah.
AEW, especially some of the, I forgot what was that one where he was talking about they make memes about it nowadays because they'll be like Cody ended racism, and like
Yeah.
they'll Photoshop Cody like at the MLK March in the 60s, and it's saying like how he with that promo he ended racism. There was some questionable promos from Cody, but I always gave him grace because I knew what he was trying to say. Sometimes it just didn't
Mhm.
come off, like what he was trying to say. But yeah, man, the return of the year, no question, better than there's nothing better than that to WWE. And moment of the year, man, watching WrestleMania. I didn't get to watch all WrestleMania, but I was sure to make time to watch that moment. Once I saw
Mhm.
that Seth Rollins was in the ring, I was like, okay, I need to sit down, turn the volume up, and just let's see if what happens, right? Let's see what happens. And
Yeah.
then when you heard that little before the music even started, the there's only what is it? There's not one royal family in wrestling or something like that. That
Mhm.
comes out. I was like, oh, there it is. And I was like, this,
Yeah.
and then the music blasted and I marked out. I was like, this is cool. Like as much as I love AEW, it's my favorite promotion. Um, the scene, like the journey of Cody Rhodes of coming back to WWE, a made man after he had left, maybe not like with the best spotlight or with the best story at that time because he was under Stardust, which he didn't like doing. Um, like seeing him come back, as a new man with his own entrance music and witnessing the start of the journey for him to capture the WWE championship, which hasn't happened yet, but we knew that that was like the start, right? So that made me as a fan, actually enjoy watching WWE, and I hadn't been enjoying it for years. So that was a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's so true. Like during his run in AEW, like he really started getting stale at the end, and this just reinvigorated like everything about him. It was an entire and the crazy part about it is he didn't have to reinvent himself. Like he took the American Nightmare that was going stale in AEW, put it over in WWE, and it was completely different. I mean, it still had the same logo, same music, same gear, but with this different audience and with the story of him leaving the company that he helped found to finish off his father's legacy is really really cool. So I think that definitely well earned award there.
Yep.
All right, next one is best gear of the year. I didn't really agree with this one. I liked it, but this one was Jade Cargill's gear where she dressed like Jade from Mortal Kombat. I
Mm.
like this one, but I think there were probably some better ones for me. Sasha Banks's Sailor Moon gear at the Rumble was probably my favorite, just because of the detail to it. It was really well done and honest to the source material. But I mean, this was a great choice too. And legitimately made me laugh when she's coming out to the ring and JR Jim Ross does not get the reference and he asks like something like, is she supposed to be a ninja or something like that? Having played Mortal Kombat since I was too young to play Mortal Kombat, I immediately got it and I thought this was a great gear, and fairly spot on with this one.
I did like the Sailor Moon one from Sasha, but I feel like this award had to go to Jade because she dropped so many like amazing outfits, amazing gear this past year. So I assumed even when I saw the category, I was like Jade's got to win it somehow. So
Yeah.
and I did like that one. I did like that specific gear, but yeah, I give it to Jade just because she's been so good at like dropping fire outfits throughout the entire year.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point because I was kind of thinking of this as like a one-off, like this gear versus this gear. But if you're looking at, throughout the year consistency, oh, it's Jade and it's not even close.
I think I think the category is a specific gear. I'm just saying that like I'm not against Jade winning it
Yeah,
simply because she dropped so much fire gear throughout the year, So I just
true.
felt like the category should have been more like who had the most fire gear throughout the entire year, and Jade is on a whole other level on that.
Yeah, I agree. Next one is kind of a spicy one. Announcer of the year, because there were two people that I really thought could have won this. The winner is Excalibur from AEW, and I think that's the right choice. And not just because Pat McAfee wasn't there the entire year, because I mean, there's no denying Pat is charismatic, he is entertaining,
Hmm.
and the way he plays off Michael Cole is just money. But with Excalibur, you get a completely steady hand that is consistent, that is accurate, that knows how to work the fans, and that manages other announcers great. Like he plays off JR well, and I love JR. He's the voice of the industry, and he is uh, and he is a legend. But later in broadcasts, he starts to wane, and Excalibur picks up that slack immediately. He gets it, and he knows how to play off JR without making JR look like without looking like he's losing it. And so I think this is yeah, I think this is the right choice.
I agree, just because of the consistency and the professionalism and how he picks up that slack and how he's able to kind of bring everything back when it gets a little chaotic. I love Pat McAfee. If Pat McAfee would have been there the whole year, probably would have been my choice. And I'm still kind of leaning more towards Pat McAfee just because of like the content that he provided, the excitement, the buzz, and just the overall big show feel that he would give to every show, every SmackDown that he was a part of. But Excalibur has just been consistent and he's just so good. So definitely well deserved.
The next one is Rookie of the Year, um, and this is another one that I think this could have gone one of two ways. The winner this year was Hook. I think this could have gone like they said on Fightful's broadcast that this could have gone to Hook or Braun Breaker. I give the Hook the edge because of the stage on which he performed. Braun is performing in NXT, which nothing against NXT, but it doesn't get the audience that Dynamite gets. And I think moving Hook from solely on Rampage to performing on Dynamite gives him the edge on this one.
Yeah.
His what do you think?
Well, what do they call the Hooks fans? The hookers, I believe that's what
The
they're.
hookers, yeah,
There's too many hookers out there, and I feel
yeah.
like they showed up to vote for Hook. He's such a fan favorite. He gets one of the biggest pops of the night every show. So I definitely see why Hook would be picked for. And I mean, I don't think he's lost yet. I think he's been
Mm-mm.
undefeated. So I definitely understand that. I do feel like Braun Breaker, has the disadvantage because of the platform that he's on and because of the audience that he has to work with.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tied between both of them. But I definitely see why Hook would get the win on this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they haven't moved Braun Baker up to the main roster by now. I'm not really sure what they're waiting on.
WrestleMania. I think he's
Trigger.
probably going to lose at WrestleMania, and then he'll They usually do that. They usually wait for WrestleMania,
Yeah.
and that's when they get called up, like the big stars.
I hope so. I hope that's where he gets to make his debut, and because
They
I
need
mean,
bigger
he
stars.
has talent.
Yeah, they need bigger. They need heavyweights, big stars that are
Mhm.
heavyweights, and hopefully they drop Braun Breaker name and give him the Braun Steiner name. I think that'd be
Yeah,
cool to see.
I think so too. Next one is finisher of the year, and this goes to the buckshot lariat. And For me, I think the KOD was probably a little bit more of my favorite this year because just the way Bianca executes it, you know it's going to finish a match and you know it's going to be a devastating move. Um, but there were a lot of really good spots with the buckshot this year when the ropes broke down and Adam Page used someone's back as a springboard. And There were some funny spots too. Sorry, CM Punk fans. I'm a CM Punk fan too, but when he fell, I, I think that kind of shows like it's really important who does the buckshot lariat. And you know the Young Bucks kind of mocking that in one of them. I can't remember whether it was Nick or Matt.
Probably,
Uh,
probably
do
Matt.
do what?
Probably Matt. Matt's a bit of trouble sometimes. I think Matt probably did it.
But yeah, I love Punk. And But I had to laugh at that. But Buckshot Lariat for finisher of the year. What do you think?
I think so too. I mean, there's a argument for the go to sleep, the GTS. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, but besides that one, I mean, super kicks get thrown all over the place, and they're not really finishing
Hmm.
anymore. So yeah, I think that's probably the one that comes to mind for me. But I understand the KO argument as well, since that one's been very consistent as well.
Next is crossover athlete of the year and celebrity cameo of the year. And both of these went to Logan Paul, which yeah, I can't argue with either of these. As far as celebrity cameo of the year, I will say that Rick Ross's promo just
This is
that
a big
stuck
mother
in my
ever.
memory forever. And
He was
Keith's
live.
reaction to Rick Ross's promo was uh, that just fed into it even better. So I mean, that's a good runner-up in my thinking. But as far as Logan Paul's consistency this year, it reminds me a lot of Bad Bunny last year. Like celebrity cameos in wrestling are a lot better than they used to be, and I think that started with Bad Bunny and like his Canadian Destroyer being so on point showed really commitment from him and respect for the sport.
Yeah.
I think it set a bar that Logan Paul had to at least aim for, and I think he did with that frog splash that he filmed with his phone, like and still getting the camera angle right on that thing, like uh, the celebrities just normally, at least in pro wrestling, we don't see a lot of that commitment and a lot of that execution. And I think Logan Paul really brought it this year.
Yeah, if you were expecting Lil Bow Wow to win Celebrity Cameo of the Year, sorry to tell you that that's not going to happen. I'm glad that storyline ended because it was just horrible to begin with. I was like, do not, Lil Bow Wow is
Yeah.
not bringing anything, any level of excitement to to AEW. So not to hate on Lil Bow Wow, I'm glad that ended. I think Jade confirmed in a interview
Yeah.
recently that they've just moved on, which is great. Um, let's not forget that Bad Bunny was in the Royal Rumble last year, and that's when he did, I believe he did the Canadian Destroyer, and he did an amazing job, as one of the entrants. But definitely Logan Paul, has had like what 3 or 4 matches last year, I believe,
Mhm.
and has created viral moments, has created buzz on social media, on news sites, and he's been an overall great performer. So definitely deserved Logan Paul for both categories.
Next is Women's Tag Team of the Year, and that went to Toxic Attraction. Now, I don't watch it. Like I said, I don't watch NXT as much as other people do, so I'm not as familiar with Toxic Attraction. But I can't think of another women's tag team that been consistently together throughout the year. I think maybe Sasha and Naomi stayed together, and if WWE had booked them better than it seemed like they were going to, I think they were probably right to walk out, and I won't get into all that, but I definitely support the talent in that decision, and I think Mercedes Moné coming back in New Japan shows that for her, at least, that was definitely the right call. But I don't want to take anything from Toxic Attraction here. I think as far as from what I've seen from women's tag divisions across the industry, that they deserve it.
Yeah, I think there's no competition there just because of consistency. They've been very consistent with toxic attraction. I'm hoping that in the future, one of my like one of the things that I would like to see tag team wise for women, I would love to see Roxy be in a team with Raquel. You know,
Well, that
both
would be cool.
Texans, you know, both Latinas, and they have a history with each other. They've known each other for a while. I would love to see them, you know, make a team together. So hopefully that happens within the next 2 years. I have a feeling it will, just because it just makes sense. So hopefully we see that happen. But overall, toxic attraction. I do agree. Best female tag team in wrestling because of consistency.
Next is Men's Tag Team of the Year, and this went to FTR. I think there were a lot of good vy's for second place, but I don't think anybody was topping FTR this year.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely the Usos were pretty close, but yeah, FTR won New Japan Tag Team Championships, AAA Tag Team Championships, ROH Tag Team Championships. They've won both the NXT and the WWE Championships. I don't think they've gotten TNA Tag Team Championships yet, I believe. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, but they've been AEW champions already. But this past year, they held three prestigious tag team championships from across different promotions at the same time, and they just dropped them 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping it would have ended with them winning the AEW tag team championships again, which would have been cool to see them hold, you know, those 8 belts at the same time. But yeah,
Yeah,
no competition. They're the best.
yeah. And I think it really speaks to it that there was like an entire storyline this last year about for how long they were the number one contenders and still didn't get a shot. Like that was an entire storyline that like Swerve in Our Glory jumped them in the line. And and I think a good argument could be made for the Acclaimed. They had a breakout year this year, and I've really enjoyed their run with the tag team titles this year. Their feud with the Guns has been really enjoyable, and so I think we keep an eye out for the Acclaimed in the next year as tag team of the year for next year. But yeah, there is no question FTR is tag team champs of wrestling this year.
There's just so many good tag teams in AEW. And I know that that was the goal of FTR. You know, they wanted to be part of a tag team division that was powerful, that was showcased, and was highlighted to the greatest power. And that ended up going against them because, you know, there's multiple. There's multiple tag teams that deserve to be tag team champions in AEW, and the Acclaimed is one of them. Swerve in Their Glory was one of them too. And there's still top flight. You know, there's still other folks that also are really good tag. The Guns, you know, they're getting better on the mic every week. The Young Bucks, and you know, maybe Adam Cole will tag team with Kyle O'Reilly when he comes back. So it's just there's a lot of competition, but FTR just had an amazing year.
Next is men's in-ring performer of the year. and that went to Dax Harwood. Yeah, for my money, I don't think there has been anybody all around better than Dax Harwood in the ring this year. I'm a huge fan of him personally, just as a person. I think he's great. The promo he had with his daughter about fight like a 10-year-old girl really got to me as a dad of a daughter. But his in-ring talent, the stuff that he has done worldwide, not just in AEW, but some of the other matches he has had this year, like with Will Ospreay. Um, uh, yeah, he is just the best in-ring performer for my money this year. I know probably an argument could be made of Bryan Danielson. Obviously, I mean he is maybe the best in-ring performer of all time, but for this year, Dax Harwood.
Yeah, there's several that can be up in the list. Maybe not on Dax Harwood's level, but Seth Rollins also had a very good year as well. You can put Roman Reigns up there too. He's still having
Yeah.
an amazing year. But I'm glad the fans saw the hard work that Dax has put in, delivering really amazing matches with everybody that he gets put in the ring, and he's been put in the ring with a wide range of single talent. Always for the most part putting them over, because he doesn't get the W, but in wrestling fans' eyes, they appreciate, all his effort and the match that he delivers. So I think that's why they picked him, because they saw all his hard work, and he's just been very consistent and always delivers. So definitely agree with that one.
Next one is Women's In-Ring Performer of the Year, and that went to Jamie Hayter. And I don't think I have seen recently anyone just organically get over as much as Jamie Hayter has in the last year since Bryan Danielson when he was in WWE. The doing before he won his first world championship, when the Yes movement was going on, and the fans just latched onto him and made him a star despite what WWE wanted. Now, I don't think AEW has been holding Jamie Hayter back. I mean, they put the women's championship on her, but I think a lot of that is because of her talent and her ability to get over just completely organically because of her in-ring work.
Yeah, she's been amazing, and it was interesting to see how just fans just, like you said, clinged on to her out of nowhere, because she was obviously in the stable with with Britt and with Reba. Is it Reba? No, not Reba. Is it what's her name? Can't
I
believe
think, yeah, I think you're
Rebel.
right. I think it's Rebel.
It confuses me because I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
her Twitter handle says Rebel, not Reba, or something like that. Uh,
yeah.
and yeah, like and out of nowhere, fans were like, no, we want her. We want her to win. We want her to defend the AEW Women's Championship, and we feel that she can, deliver and be a good champion for the promotion, and she's done an amazing job. So definitely agree with that one as well.
Next one is men's singles match of the year. And this went to Gunther versus Sheamus from Clash at the Castle. Um, I uh, I didn't really agree with this one. Now that doesn't take anything away from these two guys. I think it was a phenomenal match.
Yeah.
Um, but I think there are other things that I probably would have went with, either like the MJF and Punk dog collar match. My personal favorite match of the last year was Will Ospreay and Orange Cassidy. I know a lot of people give Orange Cassidy like less flowers because he's a gimmick act, but go back and watch that match and tell me it wasn't an absolute banger.
Mhm.
It wasn't match of the year, but I appreciated that Will Washington called that one out too, because I enjoyed the crap out of that match. What are your thoughts on this one?
I personally would have gone with Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes. I think it was at Hell in a Cell, I believe.
Yeah,
That's what I would have gone with. I thought that match was great, and the story was great, and just Cody at the beginning, revealing his injury, which looked horrible, And I know a lot of people
Yeah.
thought it was fake, which it didn't look fake to me. Uh, I just thought that that was a very special match, and a lot of people agreed with that. I was a fan also of that Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay match, but like you said, because Orange Cassidy is seen as like a gimmicky wrestler, I don't think he's ever going to get the respect that he deserves. But yeah, I understand why people think Gunther versus Sheamus was a good match because it was, and it was anticipated. People wanted that match for a while. I wouldn't have it at number one. I definitely would have it in the top five for sure, though. But my bet was Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes.
Women's singles match of the year went to Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania.
Yep.
Um, which, yeah, that was a banger match on the biggest stage possible. Um, as far as in-ring work, I gotta go Hater Sheeta main eventing Dynamite.
Mm.
That, that to me was the best women's match I've seen in not just last year, like multiple years. That match just went off, man. And but I don't want to take anything from Bianca Belair or Becky Lynch because performing on WrestleMania is no small feat. Like that's the biggest stage in wrestling, whether you're an AEW fan or a WWE fan. That's going to draw the biggest eyes or the most eyes of any event of the year. And to be able to perform on that stage and not just perform, but to do so excellently like they did, I think is no small feat.
Can't say much about that. I agree. I agree with that match being the top match, but there definitely were other women's matches. Sheeta just always delivers, you know. All her matches that I've seen have been really good, and if they weren't, usually it was because of the other person. But
Yeah.
Sheeta's just an amazing talent, but not gonna take anything away from Becky Lynch versus Belair. It was great. It was a great match.
Overall, women's performer of the year goes to Bianca Belair. And I think this is the right choice, at least from where I'm sitting. Um, I Bianca has had just the best year. I think she is uh, not just the top women's performer, but I think she's a top three in all of wrestling. I would put her up there with John Moxley and Roman Reigns as uh, the top three performers probably of the year.
Yeah, I think with her, I don't disagree with that just because she's been consistent and she's just great in everything. Uh I would see an argument for Jade though, just because she hasn't lost and she might
Mhm.
not have the best matches, but you know, presentation wise, you know, streak wise, the way she carries herself, and yeah, I just feel like Jade, like I wouldn't be surprised if Jade had won that one, because of everything that she is. But I mean, performing wise, I feel like Bianca's better than Jade and can do different types of matches, can lead matches herself as well, and has the experience, you know, even though she isn't like she hasn't been doing this for a long time, you know, she came into the WWE, she came to the PC as a college athlete and got trained at the PC, and I think she was scouted by Mark Henry, I believe, if I remember correctly. Um, and just to see where she's at now, you know, the champion that she is, I definitely see why she would be voted as the best in ring performer for women.
Yeah, I think Jade is a good shout too. She's been probably one of my favorites to watch this last year. I think uh, some of the lack of recognition that she gets is because of how improved she's been. Like, she's still new to the industry. Like she's still in her first 40 something matches, literally ever. So there were some growing pains at the beginning of that. But I think she has come a tremendous way. And I think we're going to see the women's title on her pretty soon.
And I mean, Brian Danielson has kind of been training on the side, so she's just gonna get better. If she's getting tutorage. Is it tutorage the correct term? Is it tutorage?
Yeah, yeah,
Getting
too.
tutorage from Brian, like how can you not improve? To have him as a resource, as a tutor there, like I think she's just gonna get better. But isn't it a beautiful time in wrestling where we can say the two top women are black?
Yes,
Cool.
absolutely.
That's so cool. I don't remember I don't think there's ever been a time where both women in the promotion and in like these two promotions, because we're African American, we're black. So the fact that we're able to have this conversation and debate between two black women, and give them both their flowers, not pit them against each other, but to say, they're both doing amazing things at this time. I think it's great.
Yeah, completely agree. The men's overall performer of the year is John Moxley. And yeah, I have
Moxley fan, aren't you, Justin?
do what?
You're a big John Moxley fan, aren't
I
you?
am. I am a big John Moxley fan, but I also think that this one is. I think this is objectively right too, because of the amount that this man has had to carry on his back the last year. Putting the title on him when Punk got injured was absolutely the right call. Um, now let this man go have a vacation, please.
Please. Like I'm still waiting. Every time I watch AEW, I'm like, I'm kind of low-key hoping that John Moxley gets like beat up backstage or something, so he can
Yeah,
go on this vacation that him and Renee had been planning for a while. And he was close to going on vacation, but then the whole CM Punk thing happened, and he was brought back. But yeah, he's been consistent. I feel like he didn't fully get his flowers back in the day when they were taping AEW with no crowds when he was champion. He didn't get the recognition that I feel he deserved. So the fact he got to become AEW champion in front of fans and deliver all these amazing types of matches with different people, like I definitely agree there. I mean, Roman Reigns also is still up there, overall. Like I feel like Roman Reigns has gotten to a point now where like his reign has gotten so legendary and iconic that he's not even considered for these awards anymore. It's like how many days is he in? Like
yeah,
400 something days. Uh and I feel like a lot of that hurts him in a way where people don't want to vote for him because of how he's being presented as this like godly wrestling legend now, but I definitely think that Roman deserves to be up there, and if he would have won, I would have been okay with that too.
yeah, I agree with that. Roman had some really good matches this year, and and one of the standout moments for me from him was when he popped his shoulder back in during that match with Brock Lesnar, and then just kept going, and that was really not necessarily cool to see that he got hurt, but that he had the wherewithal to keep going after that. And I think you're right that he does not get a lot of the recognition that maybe he should, because I mean his reign is so iconic that it just kind of gets looked over as like, well, yeah, obviously Roman's going to win, and obviously Roman's going to have a big banger match, but so I think we kind of gloss over him more than we should.
But I think that's great because it was voted on by the fans, right? If it would have been voted on by
Mm-hmm.
an individual that
Mm-hmm.
has like a news site or is like a wrestling journalist, but it would have been like an individual decision, I feel like probably Roman would have won this award just because of this godly run that he's in right now, But
Mm-hmm.
luckily, these Fightful awards were chosen by fans, so fans were like,
Yeah.
we're not going to go with the current. We're going to pick who we think, is doing a good job, putting in the hard work, even if doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be champion the whole year. So
Yeah. I think it's really interesting too to see like two members of the Shield leading completely separate companies and really leading the industry. Like I know they were kind of picked from the beginning to be really talented guys but to see what all three of them too. I mean, because Seth Rollins has had just an
remember, he was the first one to break out. Remember
yeah,
when he turned on Roman and and John Moxley, aka Dean Ambrose, he had multiple WWE title runs. So he was the
Mhm.
first one. People were like, "Oh, this guy's the Beyonce of the Shield,"
Yeah.
like he's gonna be the guy, and he was that guy. He won
Yeah.
at WrestleMania. He did all these big things, but the world turned, and now it's John Moxley and Roman Reigns who are the top dogs. But it's just a matter of time before Seth Rollins, gets back in that WWE title picture, I believe.
I think so too. I think eventually they're going to split those back up, and Seth has been doing a really good job of kind of being the top heel or top face, depending on what week it's been on Raw. He's been really holding it down with his matches with Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley, and he's just. I saw some statistic this last year that he lost more matches than any wrestler in the industry this last year, but it doesn't look like it.
Who did
Seth Rollins.
did he lose more than Serpentico? Because Serpentico
That's
on a legendary losing streak. I'm not sure if he's
yeah,
on, but they might be counting like live non-televised live events as well, maybe.
yeah. Maybe I'm not sure. I saw something that were or maybe it was the most in WWE. I'll have to go back
Because I
and
was about to say Serpentico is on a godly losing run.
yeah.
Like I think he's probably won like one or two matches, and he's lost like 100 and something, I think.
Oh
Uh,
my God.
yeah.
Okay, I don't think Seth Rollins has lost that many,
But
but
and those are all the awards, right, Justin?
yeah, that's it. Top
You
to
agree
bottom.
overall? I guess you agree. We both agree with the majority of them, right?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't really. There's a couple of standouts that I think we might have liked to have seen something else in that spot, but I think overall, I think we're in agreement with how this shook out.
Yeah, and once again, thank you to Fightful for creating these awards that give people the recognition for their hard work, and I feel like the fans overall did a good job at selecting the winners for these categories, and hopefully some of my predictions for next year come into fruition. I think Dax is going to win Best Podcast for sure. And who knows, like if Adam Cole has a good year this year, which it kind of seems like it might lead that way, we might be the competition for like best in-ring men's performer might be between Adam Cole and Cody Rhodes, that might be something that can happen in 2023. But yeah, anything else you want to add before we end this podcast episode, Justin?
Just yeah, like reiterating what you said. Thanks to Fightful for doing this. I really enjoyed watching along with them and the commentary that they added to these two. So yeah, I would say check out those guys. Sean Ross Sapp, Denise Salcedo, and Will Washington. They're always fun to watch along with, and appreciate our listeners joining us for this and taking our commentary on it too.
Yeah, thank you, Fightful, for the content for us to be able to do this. And we'll post a link underneath in the description for folks if they want to subscribe to Fightful so that they can get the news. I believe it's like $5 a month. It's really affordable, and they provide good content, so many podcasts and just so much content. So definitely go support them. But everybody, we appreciate you watching, listening, wherever you're watching or listening. This was episode 6 of the Natural State of Wrestling podcast. Hopefully we have some good interviews coming in the next few weeks. We're still in process of getting those confirmed and approved. We haven't gone too much into details, but we won't until it happens. I've told Justin about it through text, but we'll keep you all informed if these interviews happen. But either way, we'll catch you all next week. Thank you, Justin.